Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Momina Mindeel and this is
Minahil Shahab, and we are both Fulbright alumni, and today we're going to be talking about the Fulbright application process. I went to the University of Missouri Columbia to study public policy journalism,
and I went to NYU to study innovation in journalism. I got back a year and a half ago and Minahil returned last year. So we've been through the process and we'll talk about the do's and don'ts for your personal statement, for your study objectives, the difference between your personal statement and your study objectives, and we'll also talk a little bit about how to go about preparing for your interviews and stuff. So the difference between a personal statement and study objectives is कि जब आपकी personal statement होती है that is your one chance जिसके थ्रू जो आपके एडमिशन ऑफिसर्स होते हैं they get to know you. So do not, like, I have seen this thing happen over and over that people start their personal statements with like statistics या पाकिस्तान में ये हो रहा है. So no need to add anything that they can find on Google. Just delve right into it. Maybe one of the ways to go about it is start with the moment where you realized कि ये जो चीज़ मैं पढ़ने जा रही हूँ. For instance, I went to study innovation in journalism. And the moment it started, वो usually मेरी story telling जब मैंने सीखा कि मैंने story telling करनी है अपनी ज़िंदगी में, that was the moment when this whole process started. So I started my statement from there, and then eventually वो chronological order में आप अपने life experiences जो है वो share करते हो. A personal statement में do not add what's already in your CV, like आपके मैंने यहाँ काम किया यहाँ काम किया. It should not be a narration of your CV.
Yeah.
Just talk about experiences, your personal experiences that are associated with your academic and professional experiences. जो आपके प्रोफेशनल और एकेडमिक आपने काम किए हुए हैं ना, उनके साथ जो आपके एक्सपीरियंसेस अटैच्ड हैं, टॉक अबाउट देम. फॉर इंस्टेंस, इफ आई वर्क एट दिस डिजिटल मीडिया आउटलेट, दैट वाज माय फर्स्ट जॉब. उस पर काम तो मैं बहुत सारा कुछ करी थी, बट द ओनली थिंग दैट आई एडेड इन माई स्टेटमेंट अबाउट दैट जॉब वाज बेसिकली हाउ आई वाज बुलीड ऑनलाइन अ लॉट and how that sort of shaped my research interests, right? So आपकी personal statement में it should all be about you. They want to get to know you, they want to know who you are, why you've gotten to this point. बाकी जो आपकी अपनी academic qualifications हैं या professional experiences हैं, वो आपकी study objectives में जाते हैं. Minahil, would you like to add?
So yeah, building on what Momina said, I think your personal statement should be a narrative and it should tell a story. So obviously the admission officer is going to have your educational certificates, your CV, so they know your professional experience, but they really need to know you as a person, and that you can tell through your personal statement. So who you are as a person and what makes you different and unique, I think that should be a very, very important component of your personal statement.
Yeah, and one thing I would like to add कि a lot of people think कि अगर आप it's a very like एक conception ये बहुत ज़्यादा common क्या कहते हैं, it's a common thread that I see that you have to sort of weave a sob story to get a scholarship कि मेरे साथ ये, which is fine. Obviously you can write about your struggles, that's completely all right, but that shouldn't be the only thing in your statement. Admission officers जो वहाँ पे होते हैं ना, you realize when you're going through the process that they have read so hundreds and thousands of statements, they can see right through them. अगर आप कोई उनको पता चल रहा होता है, अगर कोई आप बहुत ज़्यादा stretch करके कोई उनको story बता रहे हैं, so just try and be honest. Literally आपके ज़हन में जो है ना कि जी ये चीज़ मेरे साथ हुई थी, this is what put me on this path, along the way I learned this and this, and now I'm here. That's all that the personal statement has to be. So just be honest. Narrate it, make sure it flows like a story. ये ना हो कि पहले paragraph का दूसरे से कोई connection नहीं. Just like how you would tell your story to a person, like how I would tell my story to Minahil कि भाई ये मेरी ज़िंदगी में हुआ, and that's why I'm here now, right? So just make it flow like a story. And I think that's pretty much it from our side for the personal statement part. Now let's move on to study objectives.
Okay, so now we're going to be talking about the study objectives, which is another statement that you write for your Fulbright application. With the study objectives, you identify the specific program or area of study that you want to go to the United States for. And I think you should be very, very oddly specific about what you want to study. And describe your research interests, how your professional and academic life or experiences have brought you to where you are today, and how they have developed your research interests. So talk about all of that, and talk about like why do you want to pursue the program, what's the value addition of it, for it, and sort of talk about why are you passionate about doing what you intend to apply for.
Yeah, I think an example, like एक format की example हम यहाँ पे दे सकते हैं कि what you can do is when writing your study objectives, start with something like just delve right into it. आपकी personal statement में वो आपको जान गए हैं, आप कौन हैं, आप किस तरह सोचते हैं, how you've learned from your experiences, so they know all about it. Now they want to know कि professionally and academically आपकी क्या accomplishments हैं, how you look at things, and so on and so forth. So एक format की example ये हो सकती है कि just start with, oh, my objective is to study this, this and this because of my experience in this. आप अपने उसमें academic experiences एक line में डाल दें और professional डाल दें. That can be your first paragraph, like just like a summary of what's about to come. Then just delve right into your research interests. And you know, a lot of people, again, this is a common mistake that I've seen कि आप बहुत broad सी बातें ना करें. Like for instance, if I wanted to study innovation in journalism, then I can't just say, oh, I want to come back and, you know, help journalism be sustainable in Pakistan. Like, no generic statements. Give specific research interest कि मुझे rural areas में digital outlets अगर खोले जा सकते हैं तो उसकी क्या logistics होंगे. You know, just specific things that you would like to study or that you would like to research on. तो अपने 2-3 specific research interest डालें. अगर आप Fulbright के through apply नहीं कर रहे and you're applying independently or just किसी और scholarship के लिए apply करें, then you can also add, and it's for a specific university, then you can also add specific instructors या professors के नाम कि भाई my research interests align with their areas of expertise, and that's why this place is so important for me, and this program you know is so important for me. You know, that just shows कि आप अपनी research की हुई है. Then so just delve right into it. अपना objective बताएं, अपने research interest बताएं 2-3 बहुत specific करके बताएं, and then talk about your short-term goals and long-term goals. That I think that is very very important. They need to know what you plan on doing with this degree. So Fulbright का एक अच्छा ये है कि always do not talk about things कि मैंने दुनिया बदल देनी है, which is great. It's a great क्या कहते हैं
thought to have.
हाँ, but like हम कोई भी एक इंसान दुनिया नहीं बदलेगा. Obviously collectively we can accomplish something. So talk about things that are doable, that are tangible, जो है थोड़ी सी logically, you know, they make. And don't be worried अगर आपको लगता है कि मेरे जो बहुत अच्छी तरह hashed out नहीं है my future goals, my short term, my long term, because there's a reason they're still in the future, right? But they just need to know that you know what you want to do, like you have an idea. So yeah.
Just to like add to that, so just to give you an example on what just Momina talked about. So with me, in my study objectives, I said I want to go to study development journalism, so health and education reporting, and that's what I ended up doing. And why me acquiring a master's in health and education reporting is important, because there's no landscape of this kind of reporting in Pakistan. It doesn't make the front page, it doesn't get any sort of coverage, and reporters aren't trained to do that. And then what I hope to bring back to Pakistan, so the skill set that I learned here, then I said that one of my aspirations is to be a teacher or venture into academia, so I'll be passing that knowledge on. So stuff like that you can sort of chalk down in your study objectives, and that is how, again, you can weave a story around it too, or be very very direct, that's up to you, but be very clear on what you want to go for and what you hope to do with your program.
I think one last thing that I would like to add, both in your personal statement and study objectives, कि अगर आप कोई भी statement लिखते हैं ना, कोई भी चीज़ आपने लिखी है, कोई भी एक sentence लिखा है, make sure you can back it up with something. Generic statement, you know, sometimes I read statements that are well written, coherent भी हैं, सब कुछ है उनमें, but people just like, you know, I was, for instance, एक example होगी कि somebody is telling about something that they built at their workplace, and then you see no examples of the outcome और कि आपने अगर वो चीज़ बनाई थी तो उसका क्या आउटकम था, क्या सीखा, उसने आपको कोई रिसर्च इंटरेस्ट को शेप किया या नहीं. You know, all of us can say, oh, I work in media development, I do a lot of trainings, I do a lot of this, a lot of that, but what kind of trainings, उनसे क्या outcomes निकल रहे हैं, कोई specific incident that I can share. You know, I was at a training, somebody learned something, and that could be a story, and you know they shared something with me. So इस तरह की चीज़ें, add specifics, because generic चीज़ें तो हर कोई लिखेगा. You need to stand out. People need to know कि आपने आपका specific incident जो था उससे आपने क्या सीखा, उससे आपका क्या जो है वो experience attached है. So I feel like just with every statement, back it up with examples. Add as many specific examples as you can. Don't just write sentences, I did this, I did that. They have your CV for that, literally. They need to know कि फिर उससे हुआ क्या, मतलब क्या चीज़ stood out for you, what's something that has stuck with you, you know, things like that. So I think essentially that is it for personal statement and study objectives part. Now should we move on to the interview process and just, you know, talk about some tips?
Yes. So now we're going to cover what you should expect if you make it to the interview call for the Fulbright process. Just to start, like, I think we have like differing opinions on it, because I really over prepared for my interview, and you think we should keep it conversational and not prepare for it. But I think preparing, and so everybody is different. Some people get nervous with like such an interaction, especially an interview. And I'm one of those, so I get nervous and cold feet, so I thought it'd be better for me to really know what I'm going to say. But for others, over preparing like works in a completely like negative way, and they sort of freak out if they've over prepared. But with me, what I did was that very easily, if you search some of the frequently asked questions in a Fulbright interview, you can find them. One of them, which they always start with, I don't know if they started.
It's the same.
Yeah, that what can you tell us about yourself, which we haven't seen in your application package. And so you can smartly tackle that question, and then they're going to come to your, you know, what you intend on studying, and then how will the cultural exchange help you, what will you bring to the table, what do you hope to gain from it. So all of these questions, I think you can find a list or jot them down somewhere and think of potential answers if you are the kind of person who wants to prepare for an interview, and then go in with that preparation. But I think if you sound confident and self-assured, that's like bonus points for that, sure. Always.
For sure. I do agree with you to some extent, but as Minahil said, different things work for different people. अभी भी जो हमने बहुत सारी बातें की, I'm sure everybody's writing style is different, the way they weave stories is different, but you know, these are just some of the tips that might help you. You can take what works for you and discard the rest. So essentially, I applied for another scholarship a year before I got the Fulbright, and I over prepared for that interview. मैंने बहुत अपने लंबे लंबे जवाब लिखे कि मैंने ये चीज़ भी cover करनी है, ये चीज़ भी cover करनी है. And when I was in the interview, I was just going. They would ask me a question, and I was just going on and on and on because I wanted to cover everything, because I was so prepared, you know. And then, you know, once like I looked up and I saw the guy. He was looking at his watch. कि ये मतलब why is she going on and on? And that's what I know, you know, the interview wasn't going that great because they were just like, wrap it up. So when I went for my Fulbright interview, one thing I realized that I should not over prepare. I should be ready to have a conversation with these 3 or 4 people who want to know more about what I want to study. So literally वो आपसे कोई ऐसी चीज़ नहीं पूछेंगे जो आपकी एप्लीकेशन में नहीं है. अगर आपके फ्यूचर गोल्स की बात हो रही है या आपके रिसर्च इंटरेस्ट की बात हो रही है, they will only ask questions about things that are already in your application, right. So you already know all of that, right? But just be prepared to have a conversation about what interests you with 4 people. In a slightly more क्या कहते हैं formal setting. Although मेरा तो थोड़ा सा casual था. And as Minahil said कि the first question they always ask is tell us a bit about yourself, and it's always a good idea to slip in something like जो थोड़ी सी funny भी हो सकती है, something that will help them remember you. For instance, like I talked a little bit about it's irrelevant, but should I talk about it? Yeah, essentially, I said something along the lines of, oh, I used to do some videos at one point, and sometimes people recognize me, and that's really nice. So, they all laughed at it. And I think उसके बाद वो जो tension थी वो बिल्कुल टूट गई, and we were just
Yeah.
having a back and forth conversation. So, फ़ायदा मुझे ओवर प्रिपेयर करने का ये हुआ कि उन्होंने मुझसे कोई भी वो जो questions usually frequently asked questions होते हैं ना वो नहीं पूछे. So they found this one thing in my personal statement. I wanted to do something in rural areas, and then they just kept asking questions about that.
Yeah.
And I was not prepared to answer any of those questions. तो मुझे फिर वो एक कॉन्वर्सेशन की तरह चलती रही. मैंने कहा कि मुझे ये पता है इसके बारे में, ये नहीं पता. It was very like back and forth हमारी बात हो रही थी. So just do personally that works for me कि भाई मुझे अगर मैंने एंटिसिपेट नहीं किया ना क्वेश्चन तो फिर मैं लाइक you get nervous कि like this question I did not anticipate, I don't know what to say. So I was like I will not anticipate any questions. मैं बस अपनी स्टेटमेंट को अच्छी तरह पढ़ के जाऊंगी थोड़ा बहुत So either of the two, whatever, two ways, like whatever works for you. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Minahil, is there anything that you would like to add?
They'll ask you like very run-of-the-mill questions. What's your weakness? What's your strength? I don't know if they ask that.
No, they never asked any questions like that from me.
I think they asked me, what's your weakness? And
what did you say?
I said, I'm such an optimistic person that I see it as a strength.
Yeah, I think the best way to go about these questions is कि जब अपनी weakness बता रहे हो, talk about something that is not related to your academic life.
Yeah, that I got bad grades.
Irrelevant बात कर दें.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best way to go about it. I think that's pretty much it. If you guys have any more questions, आप comments में लिख दीजिएगा. Hopefully we can respond and we can make another video if there's something that you guys would like to know more about. And yeah,
That's it.
That's it.
Adios.
You got this. Good luck. Bye.